Derek and Romaine.
Bitch.
He's Derek.
Now, I like attention as much as the next whore, but I am fine with letting other people be the center of attention.
No, you're not.
Bye, whore!
She's Romaine.
Oh, the day the attention goes away, you might as well just dig the hole. It's what keeps me alive. It's what keeps me young. I need the applause, applause, applause.
This is Derek and Romaine.
2.0, bitches.
Well, and Romaine had a recent birthday, so she's feeling younger than ever.
Now, you damn right I am. Super young. What? Yes. Yes, girl.
You are a spring chicken.
I am a spring chick. Cheep, cheep. Chirp, chirp.
There's nobody cheaper.
That's true. Trust me. Oh, my
Derek and
God.
Romaine.
So very true.
Well, we are in the final days counting down to the 20th anniversary of our show, which is insane because the show launched before either one of us were born. It's an outrage, really.
Insanity. Yeah.
It really, honestly, just between the two of us and anybody listening, this is outrageous that our show has been going on for 20 years.
It's honestly, I don't even know if I believe that it has. Like, it feels like a figment of my imagination. I feel like we just started doing this just a few minutes ago. Like, literally.
Maybe we are collectively a figment of everyone's imagination.
I mean, it could be true.
It's
possible. It's definitely possible.
There is no object permanence with Derek and Romaine.
Yeah.
We just come in and out of your consciousness whenever you remember we exist. And that's it.
Yeah.
For the rest of the time, we just disappear. We're not around.
Well, I mean, that's kind of exactly how we are in many people's lives, Derek. Oh, it's fun.
I like to think of us as like a bent nail in a dark corner.
Uh-huh.
That you forget we're there until you bump into us and it cuts you. Oh. And then you're like, God damn it, why is this bent nail still here? That's how I think people are approaching the 20th anniversary of Derek and Romaine. I thought that nail came out of that wall years ago.
Nope.
What the hell? Why am I still cutting myself on it?
Still here.
Still here. Still an irritant. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I always think about like the early days that our bosses said we wouldn't last. Oh,
that's right.
We proved him wrong. Boy, did we ever.
Well, we outlasted him at the old company.
Yeah, I mean, we outlasted most of our bosses.
Well, we also outlasted almost all the other shows.
It's true. It's true.
I mean, we've outlasted a lot. But you know what? It's not a contest. Or is it? No, it's not a contest. It's all personal best, everybody.
Right.
You know, there are no winners and losers in life. There are just winners, Derek and Romaine, and then everyone else.
Right.
But somebody who is a winner is David Hernandez. He's wonderful.
Oh, he's so sweet and wonderful. Yeah.
He really, honestly, he's much nicer than we are.
Yes. But that doesn't take a lot, Derek.
No, the bar is very low.
Yes. It really is.
Not all cream rises to the top.
What?
Yeah, sometimes the poo also floats at the top, too. So there's space for Derek and Romaine and David Hernandez to both rise to the top. He's the cream, we're the poo.
Wow.
I know.
Wow.
And by the way, that is a bucket of milk nobody wants to drink out of. Thank you.
You are definitely right about that.
That's a terrible analogy. I don't know what I was thinking. It's shit or chat.
That's what you were thinking. Toilet talk.
Toilet talk.
Shit or chat.
Shit or chat. Well, poor West Coast, speaking of shit or chat, poor West Coast David Hernandez has had to deal with stinky-ass New York. He's kind of lucky that it's still early in the spring. You know, we have a couple of halfway decent days where it'll be in the 60s or something, but we haven't gotten to full stink-ola New York.
Right.
In the summertime where the smell of the garbage piled up on the street and the people peeing and pooing directly into the gutters just wafts up in your face constantly. So hopefully he will be safely ensconced back on the West Coast before that horror season begins here in New York. But for now, he is enjoying New York spring, which is our second best season of the year. So at least he has that.
Yes.
Yeah. We all know fall is the best.
I like fall just fine.
It's the only bad thing about fall is that winter comes after it.
I know. I know. Ugh.
But it's kind of fun when the leaves are turning and the city doesn't smell and you get to put on a cute sweater for the first time and, ooh, isn't this fun? And there are backyard fire pits and whatever. It's like, ooh, this is nice. Pumpkins, pumpkin spice latte. Like all that part is fun. And then, the horror of our miserable long winter is just the specter looming around the corner.
Yeah.
Terrible.
Yeah.
I know.
Ugh, not good.
I
Not
know.
good.
This is why we need David Hernandez. He is such a light in our lives. Look at us. We just keep reverting back to the darkest, worst things.
What is wrong with us?
I don't know. 20 years of doom and gloom, everybody.
Yeah,
Great job.
Well, that's kind of who we are.
It kind of is. But one of the big things that has always been important to us with our show for 20 years is supporting other LGBTQ people and allies on our show.
I agree with that. That's definitely true.
And so it's always wonderful to have somebody like David Hernandez with us so that we can, let everybody know he's got a new EP that is out. He's here in New York performing in Naked Boy Singing, and he's got this show at the Laurie Beachman Theater. So this is Derek and Romaine upvoting another member of our community.
Yeah, because we should, and it's important. And
Yeah.
there's not a lot of places where, let's face it, LGBT artists can go and actually promote what they do and how they do it. The resource, the media outlets are, they've gotten slimmer since we started doing radio. So,
And we also have gotten slimmer since we started doing radio.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That's a lie, but thank you.
Oh my God, look at me. I'm more petite than ever.
I'm just getting skinnier by the second.
Well, thank you for sticking with us for 20 years. We've got our 20th anniversary show coming up on April 14th. So we hope you will tune in for that on DerekandRomaine.com or DNRstudios.com or in our DNR Cast app if you are a DNR Plus subscriber. But enough of our shameless plugs. Let's check in with David Hernandez to find out what he is up to here on Derek and Romaine.
More Derek and Romaine next.
Derek here along with Romaine, and joining us by phone, our returning champion. It is singer David Hernandez. He is here in New York City, but we're still doing it by phone anyway. Our choice, not his. He wanted to come and see us in person, and we said, no, keep your hotness at bay. But people can see David in all his glory and then some in Naked Boy Singing going on now at the AMT Theater Saturdays at 6 p.m. Don't come late or you will be seated at the management's discretion. Tickets and information at nakedboysingingnyc.com. He also will be appearing this month on April 21st, David Hernandez and Friends at the Laurie Beachman Theater. You can find him, of course, on the web and on Instagram and Twitter. D Hernandez Music on Instagram and Twitter. David, welcome back to the show.
Thank you so much for having me. It's a pleasure.
This is a terrible time of year to be naked in New York City, but
It is?
well, it's not hot.
Well, I don't think there's ever a terrible time to be naked. We're also in a theater, so we bundle up before we walk out of there.
Do you? Okay. Now, do you want the theater to be warmer as a performer?
Kind of a little. This theater is a little bit colder than the Las Vegas run, but I think that's how it's kept intentionally, so that our naughty bits aren't fully aroused.
Oh.
Okay.
Oh,
All right.
okay. But that's kind of mean to
'cause
you
then-
guys, I would think. Oh, my.
I mean, listen, at the end of the day, if you know, you know, and if you
Yeah.
don't, well, then find
Yeah.
out,
Okay. All right.
So you did the Naked Boy Singing show in Las Vegas, and now you are in your off-Broadway debut here in New York. So how is Naked Boy Singing in New York, doing it here in New York, different from doing it in Vegas?
Well, we have a different cast, both of which I love equally, but I think New York just has it has a magic to it. This is like the home, like the birthplace of theater and amazing musicals, and I think the audiences are expecting that, and they are super supportive, and we've been sold out every night, so I think that just speaks for itself that I think it's the right place to do it. And there's there's a huge following here for Naked Boys. It was in New York for years and years and years. So to be returning as part of the cast back off Broadway, it's kind of an honor, and I've always looked forward to being on Broadway or off Broadway, Broadway adjacent. So this is kind of like the first step. I think I hope the future has more in store for me in terms of theater and even just, plays, the theater in general.
And so do you like being in New York? Because usually you are in
warmer
more
temperatures.
warmer climates.
Yeah. Well, listen, okay, I love New York. It is a bit of an adjustment. I'm a West Coast boy. I was born in Phoenix, Arizona. I've been in LA for 15 years. So by definition, I am a West Coaster. I'm a Californian. So it's definitely an adjustment. I do like the fact that I don't have to put miles on my car or pay for gas. I can just hop on a train. But New York is a little bit more expensive. It's louder, and it takes longer to get places. But at the end of the day, it's, I'm off Broadway. So that's, it's kind of cool.
And you're naked. How do you feel about all this nudity?
I'm so desensitized to it now. It doesn't feel like anything for me. I mean, it doesn't bother me. I think initially in Vegas, it was an adjustment because it was my first time ever doing that. But after doing it in Vegas for 6 months and then coming here and doing it for a month and a half, by the end of the run, I just don't. I don't
so you're
really
just like,
here's
thought. My junk. I don't care.
Yeah.
Okay.
Honestly, yeah. I mean, listen, gravity will set in at some point more than it already has, and I won't have this body or this amount of chutzpah to get up there and be butt naked in my birthday suit. But yeah, I mean, right now I'm kind of just soaking it all in. It's really fun, and you forget you're naked, honestly, once you get in 5 minutes into the show. It's like, it's about the big, singing numbers and the choreography and remembering the lyrics because it's super wordy. So I honestly, maybe the audience, we had a couple girls last weekend that were giggling the whole time, and I thought it was kind of cute because they probably aren't used to seeing a flaccid penis in their face for an hour. But
there it was.
There's a first for everything.
Well, and if you're a straight lady and you do, there are probably problems in your relationship.
Oh, Jesus.
Right, exactly. Yeah.
Now, how is it with the cast? Because I would imagine when you're all naked together all the time, you feel very bonded to each other.
I mean, I guess it is the most
or not.
vulnerable.
Tell us about your problems.
Yeah, my first world problems. Yeah, that's exactly. It's not finding food or water. It's just being butt naked. No, I mean, like I guess we see each other in our most vulnerable state, but I mean, I don't know. It doesn't, like, when we take off our clothes backstage, it doesn't feel like any significant thing. It's just three of the other members have already done the show. Jaden is returning with me from Vegas, and then Greg and Dylan have done it, I think, in P-Town and off-Broadway before the pandemic.
Oh, wow.
So we're all really used to this. Honestly, Dom is the only new one, and he immediately after the first show was like, oh, it's easier getting naked in front of 100 people than I thought. So when we're backstage, we all actually have our underwear on and our shirts on, or just underwear on, until they call places. So, because it's, like I said, it's a little chilly. So we're,
They don't just give you like a nice comfy robe to wrap up in?
We had robes in Vegas, but no, I totally forgot about the robes.
Yeah, you need to demand robes.
All right,
we should talk to Tom about that. We need robes.
if your run gets extended, or you come back, make sure you either pack a robe or request one. You don't have to be full diva. It doesn't have to come with a turban and sunglasses too. But
okay, Norma.
But if it does,
I wouldn't be mad.
Right. Now you're also doing David Hernandez and Friends at the Laurie Beachman Theater, and I assume you will be fully clothed there.
Yeah, I mean, there might be a little bit of like the chesticles showing a little bit, but
okay.
I will not be wearing a naked boy singing birthday suit. No, this is a show for everybody, and I think that I think it's going to be a lot of fun. I get to sing all my original music and tell stories about my life before Idol, during Idol, and after Idol, with some tea here and there about my journey and through, I mean, back when I was on American Idol, I was sort of like the poster boy for shame because I was gay and a former stripper and all that. So it's interesting. Nobody really knows that side of my story and how like it impacted me and my family. So it'll be like the first time I'm really talking about that in detail. So I'm excited. We have a full band, 2 background singers, and it's just going to be a whole hour and 15 minutes of like David's life journey. Yeah. I'm a little nervous about it because it's New York. It's my first time really doing a show like this in the city. So hopefully everybody receives it well.
So you're more nervous about that than just getting up and singing naked. Got it. Okay.
Yes. Isn't that's
funny.
Weird? Yeah. It's so bizarre to me. I don't know. And another part of it is like when I sing in front of people that I can't, like when the lights are on me and I can't see the audience, I'm more comfortable. But when I can like see faces, I get so nervous. Like that's why I never sing at like family gatherings and stuff. Like they'll ask me to sing at Christmas or whatever, but I'm like, no, I'm good. I don't know what it is. Like if I can't see you, I'm fine. But if I see your face and your expressions, I'm like in peril. So I have to work my nerves. I got to work my nerves down before that Laurie Beachman.
Well, also, I think, a lot of actors have talked about this, especially people who get into performing because they're shy, that it is much easier to play a character because it's not you. Right. But when it is you, you're more exposed. And I would imagine that even in this context where you're naked and Naked Boys singing, you're still, in a way, playing a role. You're in an ensemble. You're part of a structure of something that's not really about you personally as David Hernandez, versus when you're doing a show at the Laurie Beachman Theater, which is very intimate. It's you talking about your life, singing in a more intimate setting. I would imagine that is more daunting because it is more personal.
You hit the nail on the head, literally, because I always say that as well. It literally is, like when I shot the TV special last December for A Paul Lynde Christmas, I played the late actor Sal Mineo. And being in that situation, that felt like a breeze to me, like just playing another person. But when you're playing yourself, like any, pop singer would do, in an intimate setting, like that's you. It's so vulnerable. And people are hearing about your life and songs you wrote about your life or other people in your life. And it's definitely and I know this is going to sound funny, but it's definitely more exposed than being on stage fully naked playing a character. I don't know what it is. It's just because, you can, if you don't like Naked Boys singing, that doesn't really have anything to do with me. Like I'm going by what the script and the music says. But if you come to my show and you don't like my show and songs that I've written, like that's more of a, that's more cutting than I would than anything else,
That totally makes sense.
But I mean, I've always been proud of myself for being vulnerable, because I think vulnerability is the key to connectivity. And so if you can share some of these stories about like mental health and addiction and like shaming and all that kind of stuff with people in a room, I think it makes people feel like less alone, which is exactly why I do it, because I don't like feeling alone. So I love when people share stories like that. And so so that's what I like to give in return, if you know what I mean.
And I would imagine that an experience like an American Idol, because it isn't just you, this has happened with many contestants on the show, is that people go on the show, and part of it is, they would like to have a music career. They want to further their music career. But the kind of instant national fame that can come with participating in one of these singing competitions, people are not always emotionally ready for what that is. And, in some ways you might have been luckier that your experience was sort of in much earlier days of social media versus now, where you almost can't get away from the kind of instant feedback and trolls and haters that go on, that I think if somebody's not emotionally ready for it would be very difficult to deal with.
Well, it's funny you mentioned that, because I've been watching, I'm all caught up on the latest season of Idol, and at least 3 people have walked out of the competition because it's so heavy in the pressure. They just crack. Yep. And I think that has a lot to do with social media and like how everything's sort of exacerbated. Every mistake you make, every flaw, everything's just, it's immediate. It's not even like it comes out next week. It's like immediately online. And we're all just sitting here like criticizing these like 18, 19-year-old kids that like, they don't have any tools to handle all of this.
They just have a dream.
Pressure.
They just have a dream.
Exactly. But when I was doing it, back then, first of all, nobody quit on my season. If somebody went home, it's because you sent their ass home.
Right.
We were all just there like, this is the only thing that's going to take us out of our little small town or our situations and sort of give us like our opportunity to pursue our passion and our dream. But like now, since mental health is more like on the front line of discussion, I think that people are recognizing like, okay, this is not a healthy space for me. I have to leave. And it's true. Like that experience, it's trauma. Like it's not, I mean, I'm still dealing with some of the shit that happened on Idol today, 15 years later. And I have friends that were on the show other seasons that are still dealing with that in therapy about like how the comment section, Jesus Christ, like people are so nasty. So nasty. I can't even imagine what like some of these 18-year-old kids are reading about themselves online. Like I remember when the first time somebody said in a comment like, ugh, his nose is crooked. And that's always been like a thing for me because me and my dad both have crooked noses. I'm fine with it now. But back then, like my first time on TV, that's what somebody says. Like they call out the thing that I already think about myself. It's just wild that like people are keyboard warriors and they just hurt people. So yeah, I mean, it's a whole different ballgame these days for sure.
Now, one of the things you commented about recently on Twitter is that sometimes gays are not supportive of other gays when they succeed.
That's shocking. Yeah. I can't believe it. What? Not the gays.
You know, a lot of that may be fueled by professional jealousy. Something that I have acknowledged when I have had it about other people. So do you want to elaborate a little further on gays not supporting other gays?
Yeah, listen, we're a marginalized community, and I think that we've been through a lot over the years, and there's a lot of self-hate there. And that's not just me saying that about other people. Like I feel that sometimes within myself, which is why I'm in therapy. But I think that when we see ourselves on stage in another person, there's a little bit of there's some resentment there that someone's doing it and you're not. There's definitely projection for like your own insecurities and the way you feel about yourself that you may see in somebody on stage, so it causes you to say something negative about them. But I'm not the only person that shares this idea, by the way. Like I've talked to a lot of my friends in the queer community, and it's like if you're not a drag queen or, you know, a singing diva, it's like you don't get the support, like you don't exist. You know what I mean? Within the gay community, it's wild. It's a wild thought because you would think the opposite, but I've been doing Pride for 15 years and I've experienced a lot of love, but I've heard a lot of negative things, like, you know, just, you know, a variety of things. I haven't really kind of cracked the code as to why that exists within our community, but I do think, like I said, it's like a self-loathing and a, you know, projecting your own insecurities onto somebody, and maybe also resentment, jealousy. I don't know.
Well, it's funny because we've talked about it a lot on our show over the years. That there are a lot of cross currents in the community that, you know, we frequently have to swim against. You know, one of the biggest things is that in the main LGBTQ organizations and media sources frequently will prioritize beloved heterosexual allies over, you know, building up homegrown talent within the LGBTQ community. And, you know, and I think that for a lot of sort of up and coming performers, that can be very frustrating. It's like, well, if I can't even count on LGBTQ media to upvote me to a place where I can then break through to the mainstream, how am I supposed to get ahead? And frequently for gay performers, it is mainstream media giving them the stamp of approval that then flips it around to the gay community coming on board, which seems, you know, sort of counterintuitive to how it may feel like it should work. But
you're speaking all kinds of truths today. Okay, all right. You're like you're taking everything right out of my mouth. You're saving my breath. You are, yeah. I mean, I couldn't agree with you more. And I think you see those little things, and, you know, the praise of Harry Styles and the way he was dressing effeminately, but then you don't realize that Billy Porter's been doing it for 20 fucking years, right? but yet Harry lands the cover of Vogue. And, you know, and Billy Porter's a friend of mine, and, you know, we've had conversations about that, and it's just, it's wild. And then you take, like, you know, you take Bros, the movie, and not a lot of people supported that, but yet you hear about Pedro Pascal, you know, having a gay, I think he played a gay character in a TV show, and all of a sudden, like, all the gays are all over his dick about it. Like, it's just, you're right. Like, it's weird. It's backwards. I don't understand why it is, but if you were to just give some of these gay icons the ability to cross into mainstream, you know, I think we'd have more of an accepting world. I think we'd have more, you know, queer allies and, you know, laws that reinforce our equality. But here we are in an imperfect world.
I mean, you know, in some ways, I like that that our community is not a monolith, that there are lots of different kinds of people and a lot of different points of view and everything. And I think it makes our experience more interesting than what ends up sort of in the mainstream pipeline about the LGBTQ community. But the downside of that is we're so disparate as a community that it's very hard for us to coalesce around an individual performer or an individual right or idea or almost anything. So, you know, it does, it can feel frustrating within our community. Like right now, you know, we've been talking a lot on our show, and I know you've been talking a lot about it in social media, about these book bans and the trans and drag bans. And it can feel very frustrating for, you know, those of us who are in the community who do have a voice, that there isn't a more coalesced voice around this, or a more like focused movement. It can feel very like a bit in shambles, that we're not able to use our power, which we know we have, in an effective way here in this and break through. And I'm sure you feel the same frustration that we do.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah, it's super frustrating. I just think, you know, like many people did before us, we'd have to keep powering through, and we hope that one day for like future generations that they have it a little bit easier, just like we had it a little bit easier than the ones before us, you know, and always pay homage to those people that, you know, the giant shoulders that we stand on, that have fought for our community tirelessly, that never really saw the end result because maybe they passed or, you know, whatever happened, but they planted the seeds certainly that have grown now.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Yeah. I just think it is important for us to really dig in now on this fight, because, you know, a lot of the American history that we grew up with in school, basically, you know, for the Black civil rights struggle, you know, slavery ended in the 1860s, and then, you know, Black people were just sort of poor and oppressed for 90 years, and then the civil rights movement for them, you know, supercharged in the progress area. But that's not 100% of what happened. There actually was a period after the Civil War where there was a great deal of progress for the Black community in the United States, and all of that was chipped away and stripped away over time. And, you know, and then they had to turn around and have civil rights, you know, fights and legislation again 100 years later, because everything had backslid so far from what little progress they had made afterwards. So I think that for our community, it's important to remember that we have made an enormous amount of progress in the last 50 years, but it can get stripped away. We can lose it and have to start all over again, which is a nightmare.
Yeah, I know, absolutely. And, you know, you know, it's important to talk about history, because if you notice what's happening now, it's almost like we're going backwards as well with women's rights. And we're, you know, and even with queer rights, like I feel like the little laws that you think are little laws that are being put into place in places like Tennessee with the drag ban and stuff like that, like you think they're small, but they're really the beginning of movements that happen, and that are just a repetition of what's happened in history. And so the more passive we get about it, the more that these things come into play, I think, and they become bigger than we thought they would ever be again.
Yeah, I think we have to remember that we've fought this fight before and we've won. So we got to get back out there and fucking fight.
fucking fight.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't say it any more simpler than that. Like, it's just.
Yeah, I mean, we know
fight.
we know as a community better than most communities, I think, how to galvanize together, how to come together, how to rally, how to get out and vote and do all of those things. We know how to do it. We've just gotten a little complacent, and we need to stop that shit and get out and fight.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I agree. Couldn't agree more.
All right, good. Well, you're in the right town for it because every single thing in New York City is a fucking fight.
Oh, that's the
So,
truth.
you know,
Oh my
it must
God, tell me
make
about
you feel
it.
alive
Tell me
every
about
day.
It definitely shocks your body every time you step out into the street. But I do appreciate the new turnstiles on the subways and the trains. How you can just hover your phone over it and walk right through. No more train cards. Because I would always lose those. I'd put like an obscene amount of money on them and I'd lose it.
Yeah, that sucks.
Yeah.
Every day they come up with something new to make it a little bit better, which I do appreciate.
Well,
I appreciate that too.
and now, you know, the people who live in the token booths that never help you when you're dying on a platform in New York, apparently now they have all been liberated from those booths, and now they have sort of a concierge role where they're supposed to just walk around and answer people's questions. And I don't know, maybe we're seconds away from having some kind of subway with white glove service. I don't know what's happening.
That's crazy.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I would think that being a concierge service is a little bit better than having to sit in that little area for 8 hours or however long.
Yeah, because it's
right?
basically like a jail cell.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's why they're always pissed off. I mean, I'd be mad too. And I see people sneak through the subways all the time and nobody says a word. It's so fun. They'll crawl underneath it or jump over it. And the lady or the man that's sitting in the little kiosk is just like, whatever.
What are they going to do? Really?
I'm not getting paid enough for this.
That's right. Well, we do love a whatever attitude in New York City.
It's true.
I mean, yeah, you just have to let it go. Pick your battles, right? Cause,
That's right. Are you eating chow mein with your hands on the subway? Okay, just don't get it on the floor, I guess. Like, you know, we've seen it all.
Somebody smoked a joint yesterday next to me on the subway, and I ended up actually buying some from him.
Oh,
because I love smoking before I go to bed. And so he had actually sold me like a bag that he had got from a dispensary, because I don't know where the dispensary was. I think it's further downtown or something. But it was sealed and everything, and it turned out to be some really good shit. So
Nice.
I'm happy that only in New York.
That isn't only a New York kind of story.
Yeah, I mean, who lights up a joint on a train? It was, I mean, it was like hotboxing the whole train.
That's funny.
So
well,
That's
you
New
know
York
what?
for
when I
you.
got off.
I mean, people have been complaining about the subway experience. Maybe this will improve it.
If everyone's just high and sort of more relaxed, no anxiety, maybe we'll all just coexist a little better.
Absolutely.
That would be nice. Now, David, last summer you did put out a new EP, Don't At Me.
Yeah.
And and obviously that has been selling well for you ever since last summer, and you have a single out now. Tell us a bit about it.
Yeah, so the single is called When It Rains, It Pours. It's the first single off the EP. And we shot the music video for it last year, and I'm releasing it on April 19th. The single's actually out already as we speak on Spotify and Apple Music, but I wanted to put it out because in the single I wrote, I talk about mental health and like anxiety and depression, and like how in your brain, like when it rains, it pours, and you start to spiral and all those kind of things, you know, that we have talked about more, but I still think need to talk about a little bit more, and normalize therapy and normalize like being vulnerable and like normalize asking for help, because it's a complicated life and we all go through our ups and downs. And I think for the longest time, like the mentality's been like hustle, work, and like power through. And I just think that needs to shift a little bit to more like, don't power through. If you feel like you're hurting, like let's stop and talk about that.
Right.
So we can move forward, you know, because I think this whole culture of like keep going, and it's toxic for all of us. And the world's only gotten more complicated with social media. So when I wrote that song, I was in Las Vegas, and I was just kind of feeling like, I don't know, like there's got to be somebody else out there that feels the exact same way I do. So let me write this song, put it out there, and see who can relate to it.
And what kind of response have you gotten?
The video's not out yet. It comes out April 19th.
You mean the video part? Okay, yeah, gotcha. Sorry.
Yeah, the video part. But the other part, like a lot of my fans, that's their favorite song on the EP.
Nice.
Because the opening line is lonely. So like the road I'm on is lonely. Concrete. I've built my walls so high they're 20 feet. So it's like you feel so alone, but yet you've created these walls around you where nobody can get in and help you because you're afraid, because there's shame that comes with not feeling mentally well. There's fear that people are going to ridicule you or just not understand. So and then the chorus is when it rains, it pours, and it's just kind of layered with different background vocals that I laid myself just to kind of explain like the confusion that goes on, like the storm that goes on in your head that you can't silence sometimes.
Right.
Yeah.
Well,
so I hope it's received well, and the video is really cool.
Yeah.
Go ahead. Sorry.
No, I was just going to say, a great solution for this is having a daily radio show where you put your mental illness front and center.
Oh, yes.
And then you really work it out on a daily basis. If I can recommend anything to you.
Yeah, it's great daily therapy.
Well, it's funny because I'm actually going to be starting a podcast really soon with my business partner. We're in the process of getting all the funding, but that's the focus is really mental health, addiction, the queer community, and just at large, and just different things like that. So it's funny when we talk about these things and we're coming up with the episodic guides as we speak. I'm like, God, do I want to share that? And I have to go back to why I'm doing this. And yes, David, you want to share it. Even though it's vulnerable, that's what you do. Mm-hmm. And people are going to benefit from you being that way. Yeah, it's risky because there's going to be, people in the comment section, like, I don't know, saying whatever they say. But I think I've done this long enough to kind of understand that it's not about me, it's about them when they say nasty things.
Oh, yes.
But yeah. It's going to be a vulnerable time coming up here very soon.
Well, this seems to be the theme of this entire conversation. You being vulnerable.
Yeah. I love it. And I don't always get it right. Sometimes I'm wrong. Sometimes I say nasty things. Sometimes I'm not the sweetest, kindest human, but I'm human. And I can just try to be better. We can all just try to be better, damn it.
Yeah.
I'm into it.
That's a wonderful way to end. All right. Well, David, I appreciate you spending time with us again. It's always great to catch up with you.
It is.
And I hope people check you out here during your run in Naked Boys Singing at the AMT Theater, Saturdays at 6 p.m. Get your tickets early because the show has been selling out. NakedBoysSingingNYC.com. And check him out at the Laurie Beachman Theater, David Hernandez and Friends on April 21st. And, of course, you can find him on Instagram and Twitter, D Hernandez Music, in both of those places. And his EP, Don't At Me, is available now. And you can hear his single on Spotify and other streaming places, When It Rains, It Pours. David, thanks for being with us. We're going to hear a bit of your song here on the end.
Thank you so much.
You bet. Anytime. You're listening to Derek and Romaine.
knowing that you don't know anything.
This episode is over, but the fun is just getting started. Check out more of our show and all the shows in our network at dnrstudios.com. And don't forget the DNR Cast app, available now for iPhone in the App Store.